President Trump is being criticized by people on the left for telling the DOJ to drop the charges against the mayor of New York, Eric Adams. Adams is being charged with bribery and was set to go on trial, and Donald Trump told his DOJ to tell the judge they want to withdraw the charges. And now Donald Trump is being criticized by people on the left because Eric Adams got charged shortly after he said that I'm going to cooperate with Donald Trump's attempt to engage in mass deportation of violent criminals. Then all of a sudden, he got indicted by the Biden DOJ. President Trump felt that the charges were political, but he's being accused of dropping those charges just because Adams is cooperating as a blue state mayor with his plans to use ICE to deport violent criminals. But guess who's come to President Trump's rescue? The former mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio. He called the charges against Adams very flimsy, meaning they shouldn't have been brought in the first place. Number 3.
Mayor, how do you see it being a former mayor? This directive, the mayor and how he has certainly curried some favor with the Trump administration, with some of his immigration policies, and these resignations that have come in the wake of this directive.
You know, Brianna, I think there's more than one thing going on, and I fear they're all kind of being blended together in a way that's just not fair and not accurate. What is happening in Washington, the Justice Department in general, is to me a travesty. I'm talking about everything we're seeing, the overt politicization of the Justice Department. Obviously, Attorney General Bondi has an enemies list, whether she acknowledged it in her confirmation hearings or not. There's a lot that's going on that's extremely problematic. That is a different question than what's happening with Mayor Adams. The notion that Mayor Adams has a position on immigration that might be different than some other Democrats, all you have to do is pay attention to what he's been saying for years to see that difference. I don't happen to agree with him on a number of things he says or does, but I don't think it's fair to say because he has that view that therefore there's a quid pro quo. I don't see evidence of a quid pro quo. I also think, and I've said it for a while, that the original charges brought against him appeared to me to be very flimsy. The mistake here, I think, is the Justice Department could have and should have said, these charges are just not strong enough to continue to pursue. Apparently, in some of what they put out today, they actually do say that. But that's the way they should have handled it. They shouldn't have kept it an open prosecution. They should have said, there's not enough here to continue with, so we're dropping the case.
Well, I clearly don't agree with what he said about Pam Bondi having an enemies list. But here you have the former mayor of New York saying that the charges against Adams were flimsy, and that the Trump administration should have said that they were flimsy, and that's why they're being dropped. Well, he did say that. You just didn't listen. About Donald Trump not having the legal authority to withhold money that he feels is wasteful, let me remind you of what the then Vice President Joe Biden said in 2018 about withholding $1 billion in aid to Ukraine until and unless they fire that prosecutor. Remember that? Number 9?
As you all know, and you know this better than anybody, you know, the one big lie going on about Ukraine back in the rest of Russia is that no Russian soldiers are engaged, they're not dying, no body bags are coming home, etc., because there's overwhelming opposition on the part of the body politic in Russia for engagement in Ukraine in a military sense. Do I think I think the Donbass has potential to be able to be solved, but it takes 2 things. One of those things is missing now, and that is I'm desperately concerned about the backsliding on the part of Kyiv in terms of corruption. They made, I mean, I'll give you one concrete example. I was, not but it just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time.
So here Biden is bragging that he withheld $1 billion under the authority of the president, Barack Obama, $1 billion in aid to Ukraine until and unless they did something, and that something was to fire the prosecutor. The prosecutor that was apparently investigating Burisma. You'll find some articles that say he wasn't investigating Burisma, others that say he was. My suspicion is that he was. But the point is, here is a president refusing to give aid until and unless certain conditions were met. Donald Trump withholds aid, and these people act like somebody just murdered their dogs. Only around 6% of federal workers are going to the office to work. Donald Trump has made that a condition. There is a leaked audio of the CEO of J.P. Morgan going off on his employees who are working from home, having meetings on Zoom, and working, in his opinion, far less efficiently. And this is the private sector. Thanks for watching these clips from The Larry Elder Show. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment. More thought-provoking discussions are just a click away, so stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.